Hey, podcast listeners. Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy by downloading the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free news. That's amazon.com/ad-free news to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
The mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank. And like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Welcome to 5-Minute History from 5minutehistory.com, where we take a historical look at things in about 5 minutes. Episode 54. The History of Beer. The history of beer is as old as civilization itself, stretching back thousands of years to the very beginnings of agriculture. As one of the oldest alcoholic beverages in the world, beer has played a crucial role in the development of human societies. From ancient brewing techniques in Mesopotamia and Egypt to the sophisticated craft beers of today, the story of beer is one of innovation, cultural significance, and enduring popularity. Beer's origins can be traced back to the Neolithic period, around 10,000 BCE, when humans first began cultivating grains. The earliest beers were likely discovered by accident, when grains left in storage became wet, fermented, and produced a mildly alcoholic liquid. These primitive beers were unfiltered, thick, and often consumed with a straw to avoid the solid residue left in the drink. Although they bore little resemblance to the beers we enjoy today, they quickly became a staple of early agricultural societies. Evidence of early brewing practices has been found in ancient Mesopotamia, in what is now Iraq, dating back to around 4000 BCE. The Sumerians, who lived in this region, are credited with creating some of the earliest known beer recipes. Beer was an integral part of Sumerian society and was consumed by people of all classes. It was considered a gift from the gods, and its production was often associated with religious rituals. The goddess Ninkasi, for example, was worshipped as the deity of beer, and a hymn to Ninkasi, written around 1800 BCE, contains one of the oldest known recipes for beer. In ancient Egypt, beer was also a central part of daily life and religious ceremonies. The Egyptians brewed a variety of beers, including a thick, porridge-like beer that was consumed as a source of nourishment, particularly by laborers building the pyramids. Beer was brewed using barley and emmer wheat, and like the Sumerians, the Egyptians saw beer as a divine gift. It was often offered to the gods in religious rituals, and its production was overseen by women who played a key role in brewing in many ancient societies. As brewing techniques spread from Mesopotamia and Egypt to other parts of the world, beer became a widely consumed beverage in ancient Greece and Rome. The Greeks referred to beer as zythos, and although they favoured wine, beer was still an important drink in many regions. The Romans, on the other hand, viewed beer as a drink for barbarians, preferring wine as the symbol of civilization. However, beer was widely brewed and consumed in the northern parts of the Roman Empire, particularly in Britain, Gaul, modern-day France, and Germany. It was in medieval Europe that beer truly began to evolve into the beverage we recognize today. During this period, monasteries became important centers for brewing, with monks refining brewing techniques and improving the quality of beer. Monasteries were self-sufficient communities, and brewing beer was an essential part of their daily life. The monks often brewed beer not only for themselves, but also for pilgrims and travellers. Their careful attention to brewing practices helped elevate the quality of beer and laid the foundations for modern brewing. One of the most significant innovations in brewing during the medieval period was the use of hops. Before hops were widely adopted, beers were flavoured with a mixture of herbs and spices known as gruit. However, hops, which were first cultivated in what is now Germany around the 9th century, offered several advantages. Hops acted as a natural preservative, extending the shelf life of beer, and added a pleasant bitterness that balanced the sweetness of the malt. By the 14th century, hops had become the standard ingredient in beer across much of Europe, particularly in Germany and the Low Countries. The German beer tradition had a profound impact on brewing across Europe, particularly with the introduction of the Reinheitsgebot, or beer purity law, in 1516. This law, enacted in 1516 Bavaria, stipulated that beer could only be brewed using 3 ingredients: water, barley, and hops. Yeast was added to the list once its role in fermentation was better understood. The Reinheitsgebot was one of the earliest food safety regulations in history and ensured the quality and purity of beer in Germany. It also helped establish Germany's reputation as one of the world's leading beer-producing nations. Beer production continued to expand throughout the early modern period, with new styles and techniques emerging in different regions. In England, for example, the development of porter and pale ale in the 18th century marked a significant shift in brewing practices. Porter, a dark and robust beer, became particularly popular in London, and pale ale, made using lighter malts, also gained favour among British drinkers. The Industrial Revolution also played a crucial role in transforming the beer industry, with advances in technology, allowing for mass production and distribution. Steam power, refrigeration, and the invention of the thermometer and hydrometer all contributed to more consistent and reliable brewing processes. The 19th century saw the emergence of lager, a beer style that would go on to dominate the global beer market. Lager originated in Germany and Austria, where brewers began using a different strain of yeast that fermented at lower temperatures. This process, known as bottom fermentation, produced a cleaner, crisper beer that could be stored, or lagered, for extended periods. Lager's popularity quickly spread across Europe and the world, and it remains the most widely consumed style of beer today. The 20th century brought further changes to the beer industry, particularly with the rise of multinational brewing corporations. Companies like Anheuser-Busch, Heineken, and Carlsberg grew into global giants, producing vast quantities of beer and exporting it to markets around the world. While this period saw the dominance of mass-produced lagers, the late 20th century also witnessed the birth of the craft beer movement. In the 1970s and 1980s, small-scale brewers in the United States and Europe began experimenting with traditional styles and new flavors, leading to a resurgence of interest in artisanal brewing. Today, craft beer has become a global phenomenon, with thousands of independent breweries producing a wide range of innovative and diverse beers. Throughout its long history, beer has remained a symbol of community, celebration, and tradition. From its ancient origins to its modern resurgence, beer continues to evolve, reflecting the cultures and societies that produce it. Whether enjoyed in a bustling beer hall, a quiet pub, or at home with friends, beer remains a drink that brings people together, just as it has for thousands of years. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the 5-Minute History Podcast from 5minutehistory.com. If you get a chance, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, as it will help us to grow. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts? 5-Minute Biographies, 5-Minute Murder, 5-Minute Mysteries, and 5-Minute Warfare. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, it's official. We are very much in the final sprint to Election Day. And face it, between debates, polling releases, even court appearances, it can feel exhausting, even impossible to keep up with. I'm Brad Milkey. I'm the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. And every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand, with just enough context so you can listen, get it, and go on with your day. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying informed shouldn't feel overwhelming.